What's up, Conquerors? Hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Now, we've got a beginner's guide here to Slay the Spire 2. It's out in early access right now. Seems to be kind of the hot thing out there that a lot of people are playing, so I decided to start playing it as well. Really fun game. Now, it's really a pretty simple game, but there are some easy things that you can do to get better and enhance your chance of slaying the Spire. So I'm going to cover those things in the beginner's guide. Now, if you watch this guide and you enjoy the video, please drop a like. If you learned something from the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the rest of the guide. Now, the first thing you want to know when we talk about Slay the Spire 2 is, what is the game? Now, it's a really unique game in the fact that it is a roguelike game, but also mixed with the card deck style of game, which is quite unique. So, for example, I'm not much of a card deck game kind of guy, but I love this game because it's also got that roguelike element to it, which is really fun. It's a bit addicting for people. It's the doing run after run after run, trying to get better and beat the game. Not only beat the game, but beat the game in different ways. So, it's a roguelike game with a card deck, and essentially there are different acts in the game. Each act, you'll start at the beginning of the act, and there are different rooms as you move up the spire that you'll fight your way through. Some rooms are going to have enemies, some rooms are going to have mystery events, some rooms will have treasures, some will have merchants, some will have elite warriors that you can beat for better upgrades. And then at the end of every act, there is a boss that you'll have to fight before moving to the next act. At the top left of your screen, there are three UI components which are pretty basic, the first two at least. One is the HP of your hero. Two is the gold that your hero has at the moment. And three are actually relics. Now, relics are one of the coolest parts of the game to me, because you'll pick up relics as you fight through the different rooms and as you beat bosses and elites, or maybe you can buy them from merchants, maybe you find them through a mysterious event. And these relics can give buffs, sometimes debuffs, but generally the relics are going to give you buffs. So each run you go through, you'll find different relics, and you can do different builds with your hero, which is really cool. Each hero has just a specific buff that they start with. And of course, since there are different heroes that you can unlock, each hero is going to start with a different relic. So top left corner, you can always view your HP, how much gold you have, and what relics you have acquired over the course of your run. Now, probably the most important part of the guide has to do with your card deck. Now, every time you go into a battle in Slay the Spire 2, you're going to use what is called your card deck. Now, cards are kind of broken down into attacks, skills, and powers. So attacks could be anything from striking an opponent to hitting them with a bludgeon, stabbing them and inflicting poison. There's lots of different attacks in the game. There's a multitude of different attacks, especially with the different heroes. There's lots of different attacks that you can use. There's also skills. Now, skills are a very wide variety of cards, from giving you block / defense. If you have block, you can block enemy attacks, to giving you buffs, giving the enemy debuffs, sacrificing your HP for more energy. And then there's also powers, which are generally stronger cards, and again, wide variety of powers that you can use. Now, to actually use a card in combat, you have to have energy. Now, generally, each hero is going to start the game with 3 energy, so each turn of combat, you'll go back to your max 3 energy. Now, there are cards and relics that can influence how much energy you start with each turn. At the top of every card, you'll actually see how much energy it takes to use that specific card. So a lot of the game is the strategy of when to use what cards, right? That's the whole strategy of the game. If you do a good job with playing your cards correctly, you'll generally advance pretty far into the Spire. If you're not doing a good job, your Spire adventure can actually end very early. As I was talking about, some cards have buffs, some have debuffs. And anytime you look at an enemy, you're generally going to see what buffs and debuffs they might have, and your buffs and debuffs will also appear under your hero. So for example, strength will give you more attack power. Dexterity will give you more block. Being vulnerable, you'll take 50% more damage from attacks. Being weak, you'll deal 25% less damage. And you can always see these buffs and debuffs under yourself or under enemies by putting your cursor over them. Now, enemies sometimes have really unique buffs and debuffs you need to be aware of. So what I normally do when I start combat is I put my cursor over the enemies to better understand the buffs and debuffs that these enemies might have. And as we talked about, when you enter combat with your card deck, you'll draw cards, and that'll be your first hand of cards. Once you've gone through this hand of cards and ended your turn, they go to your discard pile, and you'll go through your entire card deck, and all of those cards will go into the discard pile before those cards being shuffled and you getting a new deck of cards. Now, I would actually say these buffs and debuffs play one of the most important aspects of the game, because you'll be dealing less damage or dealing a lot more damage based upon how you handle your buffs and debuffs. Speaking of buffs and debuffs, you can also have a max of 3 potions with each hero, though some items may extend how many potions that you can have. So potions are just consumable items that you can store at the top of the UI, and you can have a max of 3. Now you can drink them at any point during combat if it's your turn. And again, this is a very strategic decision. You have to decide, when should you drink these potions? Are they useful in this combat? Should you save them for the act boss, or should you go ahead and use them if you're in trouble, and you're halfway through the act? So these are all strategic decisions that you have to make around drinking potions. Also, one of my favorite parts about Slay the Spire 2 is the unlockable component to the game. And that's very roguelike. I love unlockable components to games. The more you play, the more things you unlock. That makes you want to keep playing the game over time, right? And that's really fun. So at the end of every round, depending on what you've accomplished in your round, you'll be able to unlock certain epochs. And these epochs may range from unlocking new cards to appear in your playthrough, unlocking other heroes. And so there's a lot out there for epochs that you can mess around with, unlock as you gain experience, and make it farther in your runs. In conclusion, I think Slay the Spire 2 is a really fun game. I really like the roguelike aspect of it with the card deck. I wasn't sure I was going to like it at first, to be honest with you, but after playing it, it's simple, it's really fun. There are fun things to unlock. You get to play with different heroes, and so I'd probably give it an A. It has overwhelmingly positive reviews. I'd probably give it an A. I think it's a great game. Hopefully this beginner guide has kind of given you some insight into the game. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. If you learned something, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.